Hey, what's up, guys? Hades here. I got Snowe with me today, and we're going to be talking about 5 things we would love to see changed in the next IB League season, because there's so much to love about the game, but there's also a lot of problems. So, first thing we're talking about is the time system. Snowe, you want to talk about the time just a little bit?
The time spreads. Okay, so the matches, the way the game generates whether or not which spawn you're going to get, and this will heavily affect the game itself, is based on, I think, how many wins you have or how many points you get from those wins. Each IB match is up to 100,000. So, as far as I know, that is how it's determined. And if you get the topside spawns, everybody knows at this point it's a better spawn to have, so that gives your team the advantage.
Exactly.
And the way it's set up, it's not very fair to the team that actually put in a lot of effort, a lot of work, and managed to win their previous games, and they just end up on a lower on the ranking, which affects and gives them a worse spawn. So what do you have to say about that?
Yeah, so when we look at the stats, we're on the playoff week, the final elimination game, and you'll see all the top-ranked teams are those that have played through the playoff bracket, which means they have an extra game or even 2 extra games, which means they have way more points, which means they're ranked higher. So you'll notice all the teams there are ranked higher, all the stats are ranked higher, in contribution it looks higher, but what that actually does is it becomes a disadvantage for these teams because the map is not balanced. I'm going to jump into a replay of last week when me and Snowy played, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago. We'll just look at the spawn and we're going to show you how imbalanced the map is. One of our biggest changes that we need, and this is the most important one, is the map needs to be symmetrical, because the distance from this top side to the Tower 4 is not the same as the distance from the bottom side to Tower 4. Let's try and get this to load and then you can talk about it.
I think the difference right now,
there it
is 5 squares closer from the top side, and I think the bottom side is 1 square closer to the other tower. So it doesn't really make much sense, and it heavily affects the starts that you get from these positions.
Yeah, so I'm going to pause it right here. You can notice that they landed first, and that's Lesnar, and he's 2 squares away from the edge.
Yeah.
Versus this guy's name's Tyree, who's on the edge. So he's 2 squares closer, and he lands later, which means if Lesnar had tried to go into this square, or somewhere in this area, he would have guaranteed to be first, even though he's not even close. Like, he's 2 squares away, and he landed first. Because this Tower 4 is located 2 or 3, I think we counted 3 squares too high. It should be here, I believe. I think it's bottom left corner, should be here.
Higher than that.
Is it this one?
Me and people from AOW did. They basically mapped out the map on Excel, and it looks it was 5 squares closer from what they're telling me. So
wow.
That's a ridiculous advantage, and he's not even to the furthest left of the spawn that you could.
And the further left you are, the more close it is to the left. So
yeah, a little right.
Yeah. So me and Snowy, if you didn't know, we've already won IB League twice. We both have the skin. We already learned this 2 seasons ago. We did the math. We figured it out. We did about 3 to 4 squares, and we knew if you spawn on the top side, you always win. And here's the thing. The lower ranked team always spawns on this side, which means they always have an advantage here. And in this match, if Nick and Lesnar had gone here and here, the game would have been over. Like, they would have instantly captured this tower, and we would have had no way to get it back for a significant amount of time. We would have drained points forever. The whole point is we need a symmetrical map. Even the Tower 1 isn't quite symmetrical. It's like 1 or 2 blocks off. So we just want the creators to fix the map. That's pretty much our kind of spiel on this.
Our take on that. Yeah,
I
think equal map just gives you, like, there's no unfair advantages, and then it just becomes like, in the first 5 minutes of the map, who can outskill or outthink where they should position their team and who can adjust on the fly the most efficiently to like give yourself a better start, right? You shouldn't just automatically, because you played in the losers bracket, get the top side best spawn, right? You shouldn't just get that because you lost and you got to play more games. And now you get to take Tower 4 for free because you have half decent spawns. Like, that shouldn't be how the game works. And do you have any idea as to why they might have made it this way? Do you think this is intentional, or do you think that this is just, pure chance they didn't realize that it's a little bit closer on the top side?
Sometimes I definitely think they did it on purpose just to give the one team an advantage, but I just don't like it. No matter if they did it on purpose or not, either way it needs to be fixed. It should be symmetrical. At the highest level, especially when you get to the final matches, whoever is on the top side is just in a massive advantage, and any team who knows it, which is probably about 3 or 4 commanders who like understand this concept, know how broken that side is, and you should pretty much always win the match from that side, or at least win from the start.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's get into some creative thoughts we had on ideas for next year. We have the new open arena, which I thought was a great idea. I love the fact that you can add kind of your own creative spin on what a build looks like, what a march looks like. You can add one chaos and you can pick holy or shadow. Now I think we both agreed it has to be done really carefully, or it could be very broken. Maybe introducing small pieces to it over time. I think the shadow and holy dragon are probably too broken to be in the game, but maybe adding you can pick 2 or 3 shadow immortals or 2 or 3 holy immortals, and you can combine them into your marches or something along those lines. Just to spice it up a little bit. What do you think about that?
Yeah, maybe 2 immortals tops, because if you start to add the whole team into the mix and it's not like changed from the way the original game is, then you're just going to have a lot of like the same metas that you got in the open arena in IBL. It's creative. The shadow march is going to be broken against every single other march other than holy, and then everyone's going to be forced to use holy, and then the creative diversity that is IB League right now, in terms of making marches before the matches, like that part of the game is fun to me, and I'm sure it's fun to a lot of other players.
Yeah,
it gives you that right for actually putting in effort, and it gives you that competitive edge, right? So if you take that away, then IB League probably wouldn't be the same. So it would very much need to be balanced, correctly if they did just go that route. Let's say one extra immortals. I mean, why not try it out for 1 season and see how it does, right? Like,
what do you think about adding in like Tokugawa and Trajan and a few of those heroes that are available in the main game but not yet in IB League? Would that be a better first step, because they're not here on this list?
Would be a better first step for sure. Like, just slowly introducing new immortals into the mix. I mean, they've already been doing that with the skills, so why not do it with some more of the immortals?
Yeah. And that brings me to the new legendary skills. Would you like to see those in IB League, or would you like to keep that out of it?
I can't comment on that because I really don't have any experience with the new legendary skills. If they're like, more or less balanced with some of the other skills, then sure. But if they're a little more broken, then it might take away from the build diversity.
Yeah, I think they might be a little too broken. Also, we haven't experienced them yet, so maybe it's too early. Maybe in a future season, but I don't think next season. And then I guess the final point would be the tier 5 troop with 11,000 is just not quite doing it. We've had it for a while. I personally would like to see a tier 6 troop or a nerf to the dragon, because 10-10-10 dragon when your tier 5 is kind of nuts. Here's just a simple replay: fire versus thunder. The skills don't matter. We're talking about the dragons. 5.8 million from the dragon when it's basically doing the most on the team, and then the fight ends in 30 seconds. And this has been pretty much the meta for 4 seasons straight. Fire's dominated. We need more HP on our troops, or Fire's going to continue to dominate pretty much forever. What are your thoughts on that?
Or the dragons need to be tweaked, or the levels need to be skills need to be changed. The fire dragon is definitely broken, and it could be a little more interesting if they balanced it a little bit. So maybe some changes coming the way of the dragon could be good for the game.
Yeah, basically the dragon's doing so much chunk damage that you have to use it in a main just to get the massive value. It goes first, right? Everything about the fire dragon is just prime for this setup, and it just dominates. But if you change the tier to 6, it wouldn't do quite as much because the troops would have more HP, and then there'd be more skill involved rather than just bam, 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 throw everything into fire, burst them out in 25 to 30 seconds and win. I would love to see more strategy with a higher tier troop, or making the dragons slightly less so the damage isn't so significant.
Yeah. Or you could even maybe potentially look at giving buffs to the other dragons just to see if it makes it a little more balanced. But either way, some balance changes need to be made into with the marches for the next season, ideally, right?
Yeah. And then my last little thing, put the wind dragon back to everything. It can't just be wind immortals. It's complete garbage when it's just wind. I hated that change 2 seasons ago. It's such a cool dragon, but it sees no use because the fire dragon does 25% boosted dragon to wind immortals, which makes this dragon pretty much unusable in IB League.
And pretty much unusable in the regular game. I mean,
yeah, because the shards are too hard to find.
I don't see anybody using very many wind marches, that's for sure.
I agree. So, yeah,
be very nice.
Fix wind dragon everywhere. But yeah, thanks guys for watching. Me and Snowe are going to do some more IB content in the future. I think it's great to get our perspective. We've been at the top of the game for a while, and we're probably going to come out with some dual reviews, and we're probably going to come out with a tier list soon. So be checking out for that, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.